So welcome back to another episode of Shelly's Game Kitchen. I'm Chef Shelly Meyer, and I really look forward to introducing more people to this wonderful protein of game meat. So it's way healthier, cleaner, and it's actually the original organic. You can't get more organic than game, wild game especially. It's such a pure, lean protein. So keep watching while I bring the forest to your table. So what I'm going to do today for you is actually spruce grouse. So there's many different varieties of grouse and so forth, but this is actually a spruce grouse. And I'm going to do that with a Alfredo. So I'm going to do angel hair pasta with a little Alfredo sauce. And then I'm also going to do a homemade mayonnaise to make into my homemade Caesar salad dressing. So keep watching while we get cooking. Montana Flavor to Savor. We've spent a decade creating the best flavors with all natural ingredients, gluten-free, with no fillers or no preservatives. You can find the best flavors at Montana Flavor to Savor. Visit our website at www.mtflavortosavor.com. With an explosion of flavor that tantalizes your taste buds, there's only one way to experience the last best taste of Montana, and that's with Montana Flavor to Savor seasonings. Get yours today. So what we're going to start with is actually, I'm going to get my mayonnaise ready because that's the base of my Caesar dressing. So I just got one whole egg here, and I'm just going to kind of immersion blend this up, and we're going to slowly add in our olive oil so we emulsify it. And this is where you really want to use your high-end, really good tasting olive oil. Okay, so we've got this kind of blended up. I'm going to add just 2 tablespoons of lemon juice to it. And this is fresh squeezed lemon juice. That's a little shy. There we go. And then I just need like a pinch of salt as well. And I'll continue to blend that up. And there you have homemade mayonnaise. Trust me, if you buy store-bought mayonnaise, you'll never do it again if you try this. It's the most simplest thing that you can make, and it makes a huge difference in your recipes. So now from that point, I'm going to use that again after I get my dressing all together. But I only need about half of this, so I'm going to get another cup back here. And that'll set up and get a little bit tighter as it sits in the fridge. And now from here, I'm going to add in a little bit more. So now what I'm going into is making my Caesar dressing. So I'm going to add another tablespoon of lemon juice for that. And then I'm actually going to add a teaspoon, a couple of cloves of garlic. Out there. And then I've got some fresh minced anchovy, and so I need about a teaspoon of that, as well as a couple of teaspoons only, of Worcestershire, and a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. And those are your basis ingredients for a wonderful Caesar. And I'm just going to blend that up again, and then we're going to add a little bit of fresh shaved Parmesan Reggiano. This is definitely one of those ingredients that you want to use the real stuff. Don't use the already shaved. We want the real stuff. So we just need probably a 1/4 cup of this Parmesan Reggiano. That looks to be about a 1/4 cup. getting a little saucy here. Sometimes the immersion blender gets a little crazy. There we go. And now I'm also going to add just a little bit of fresh cracked pepper, and I'm gonna taste for seasoning, and then we'll be good to go on to our next dish. So let's get our Alfredo started. I got my pan getting hot. We're just gonna add some butter to the pan here and let that kind of melt down. Turn my heat down just a little bit. So I came up with this dish. At the restaurant we had Alfredo sauce, and you have it on the line, and you do it in great big batches. But when I would be at home, my husband would be out hunting, and I'm like, I want comfort food. And I just want it for myself. I don't want to make a great big old batch of it. So I just wanted to come up and make it for a single serving, or for 2 people, for me and my son, and so forth. So that's kind of where this episode is about, single serving, for all of us that sometimes are home alone, but we want that comfort food. So I'm just gonna add probably a tablespoon of shallots to this and let that saute out. We're just blooming the shallots. We're not getting color on it. You'll hear me say that a lot. It's just a terminology that I use, but if you want to get color on it, you'll want to have it searing a little bit longer. This one I'm just trying to bloom and really get the aromatics going. But again, we're going to season. I'm going to add just a pinch of salt. And then as that gets going, we're just going to kind of cook out that butter just a little bit. And then add in some garlic. So I know traditional Alfredos, you know, they might not have the shallot in there. I just love, when I'm making sauces, I love the shallot and the garlic. Kind of my jam, I love it. So as that garlic blooms, then I'm gonna deglaze with some white wine. It's nothing better. My clients walk into my kitchens when I'm cooking for them like, oh my God, it smells so good. I literally just started with garlic and onions. So we're gonna cook off some of that white wine now. Let that reduce. Cook off all of that alcohol. So now we let that alcohol cook off from the wine, and I'm gonna add in my heavy cream. This is heavy whipping cream, and we're gonna let that reduce. And once it kind of comes up to a little bit of a simmer, you're not trying to boil cream, that would not be good, but you also notice I've got it in kind of a shallow saute pan. Instead of doing this in a higher saucepan, do it in a shallow saute pan because it'll help reduce it faster. So we're just gonna let that reduce down, and then we're gonna hit it with our Parmesan Reggiano and just a little squeege of fresh lemon juice to pop that up. So we've got our Alfredo sauce reduced down, and what I'm gonna do is just kind of finish it off with just a pop of that fresh lemon juice. Like I was saying, you don't need a lot. Fresh lemon juice goes a long ways. And then the secret to any cream sauce is just a pinch of nutmeg. And you can actually fresh grate it, is even better. If you've got a little knob of nutmeg. So what I'm gonna do now is just kind of set that aside, and then let's go right into working on our grouse. So what I'm gonna do with this is get my pan hot, and then what I'm gonna do is just lightly dust the grouse. And so if you've watched it in my other episodes, you remember that I always wanna season my flour, season your dusting. So I'm gonna get some of my seasonings back here. And for this one, I'm just gonna use the Hunter seasoned salt. And Hunter is actually our son's name, so he's a pretty cool dude. He's also a chef, and he helps me out a lot when I cook for clients or if I've got bigger parties and whatnot. He helps me out a lot, so he's a good guy. Very blessed. So yeah, and I've got the flour seasoned, and it looks like it's good, but remember the little trick? Taste your flour. Yep, we're good. Now I also hear that my pasta is boiling back there, or my water's boiling, so I'll get my pasta in a minute. But first, let's get these dredged and started. My pan's coming up to temp. I just need to add a little bit of grapeseed oil to it. I just want to coat the bottom of that pan. And this grouse, because it is actually a red meat, I know that seems weird because it's a bird, but it's red meat, so you can actually cook this to medium rare. You don't have to cook it all the way to 160 like you would with chicken and stuff, but it's so lean, it's so delicious. So I seasoned my flour, and I'm going to season one side of my grouse. My pan is smoking away, so we definitely got that hot enough. And then let's just dredge this in our flour. And we're going to put it right in that pan. Make sure it's good and sizzling. There we go. Just work our way and get every single one dredged and in the pan, and then we'll just keep on cooking. So the grouse is ready to come out of the pan, and this is just, I know it looks a lot like chicken, but it's actually grouse, and it actually tastes a lot like chicken too, even though you can cook this to medium rare. So any kind of red meat, even on birds, if it's red meat in the game world, you can cook that to medium rare. So now I've actually got my pasta already cooked, because that's just angel hair pasta, nice and easy. And what I'm gonna do is just kind of toss that in my sauce here, my Alfredo sauce. Just get enough serving. I don't need all of that. There's quite a bit there. Let's just get enough for a couple of servings here. And then dress that all up. Beautiful. This is just so rich and creamy and comforting for those kind of chilly fall evenings. Perfect. And then I'm just going to kind of roll that in the sauce. Beautiful. Doesn't that look good? Ready to get your fork. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of get that in the bowl. I like to do a little twirl in the pan, so then your mess isn't so much on your plate. And a lot of times what's easier, let me do it the right way, if you twirl it in the pan and then use your spoon to lift it out. There we go. And I'm just going to add just a little bit more sauce from the pan and drizzle over that. And I'm going to add in one of my grouse. Top that off with some fresh parsley and then some also freshly grated Parmesan. So there you have my grouse Alfredo. And then I tossed the romaine lettuce in with my homemade Caesar dressing with homemade croutons. I hope you enjoy. So thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Shelly's Game Kitchen. I'm Chef Shelly Meyer, and I prepared for you today grouse Alfredo with a Caesar salad, homemade Caesar dressing. If you want to find me on social media, I'm at Chef Shelly Meyer on Instagram and Facebook, and you can get my spices at Montana Flavor to Savor. That's www.mtflavor2savor.com. Tune in next time while I continue to bring the forest to your table.